USA Warrior Stories is a not-for-profit organization designed to record, archive, and share videos of veteran stories, to help veterans make a connection with one another and to help us all better understand their sacrifices for our freedoms.
Well, I joined the Navy in 1986, and so I went in to originally talk to the Coast Guard recruiter. He was not in the office that day, and the Navy guy said, well, come on over here, you can talk to me. And 2 weeks later, I was off to boot camp in Orlando. Well, I went to Orlando. Orlando at that time was joint. We had male and female were going through there. It's closed now, but it was pretty neat. Well, right out of boot camp, I went to bosun mate school, and which is a small 2-3 week school. Teach you how to chip, paint, take care of the ship, all the husbandry, I guess you would call it. And then I was off to San Diego, California. It was the USS Harry W. Hill. It was a Spruance-class destroyer, DD-986, stationed out of San Diego. I became a master helmsman, so I got to drive the ship, so that was pretty cool. But a lot of chipping and painting and just taking care of the ship, keeping it from becoming a rust bucket. That's really what a bosun mate does. While I was on the ship, these guys were checking in and becoming part of the ship's crew. And I asked them what they were doing. They said, well, we went to BUDS. So I didn't know what BUDS was, and it was Basic Underwater Demolition School. And it sounded pretty interesting. Next thing I did is I talked to the XO on the ship, executive officer, and I had him help me put a package together for BUDS. And I did a deployment out to the South Pacific, and halfway through that deployment they sent me back and I went to BUDS. I found it very exciting, but very tiring, very challenging. But at no time did I think I was going to have any issues other than possibly a physical issue. But everybody that goes through BUDS at some point has a second guess themselves whether they made the right decision or not. And they could be cold, miserable, sandy, just hurting, kind of feeling sorry for yourself a little. And I think everybody has that, and it's not so much it's not the right decision, it's how uncomfortable do I want to be? At what point, where is that breaking point? So I think in BUDS you learn to compartmentize. And you focus on that one evolution that you're looking at. I'm going to make it through this evolution. Then after that evolution, I'll focus on the next one. And it's evolution by evolution, day by day. You can't think too far ahead. You just got to take it that way. Well, I think there's two phases that you go through. The first one is when you pass through Hell Week and you actually make it through Hell Week, which is, for me, it was week 5. And that's when you get about 4 hours of sleep through the week and you're nonstop being tested. I lost all my fingernails, all my toenails, and I could pull chunks of hair out of my head pretty easily, just from all the stress and anxiety and the immersion you go through, being wet all the time. And then the next one is when you graduate and they actually come up and pin that trident on you. That's a special moment. So after I graduated BUDS, I got assigned to SEAL Team 5. But before you go there, you have to go, back when I came through, you'd go to jump school. So out to Fort Benning, the Army jump school, learn how to static line jump, a 3-week course, and then you would come back to your command. I was a 60 gunner at SEAL Team 5. So as a 60 gunner, you're carrying what the Army usually uses as a crew serve weapon. So a 60 is an M60 machine gun, belt-fed, heavy weapon, and you have to carry, at least 300-400 rounds on you, and then you'll divvy up some of those rounds to other people in the platoon. There's usually 2 of those in a platoon, 2 guys that carry the M60. And they are to lay down suppressing fire and heavy fire so that when we have to contact or have to move, we lay down some fire in a rapid fire motion that allows guys to pick up and move. Coming right out of BUDS, I started to work up with Foxtrot Platoon.
The Operation Desert Storm ground campaign began. The United States, with a coalition of 31 nations, unleashed all-out attacks to expel Iraqi forces from Kuwait.
And then we deployed to the first Gulf War, so Desert Shield and Desert Storm in August of 1990. We actually did a beach diversion op off of Kuwait, went in off of high-speed assault craft, Zodiacs, went into the beach, planted haversacks on the beach, and extracted back out again, and then had those go off. It caused a beach diversion for a Iraqi division to come to the coast so that General Schwarzkopf and the Marines could run around the backside and come in. So that was my first deployment, to go right into combat. Was quite an experience. Well, you make that bond with the other teammates by trust and experiences. So you get to feel out each guy and see what he's made of, what he's willing to go through, how he's willing to support. And in the teams, there's a lot of peer pressure, right? You have to perform. There's a code that we have is earn your trident every day. So you have to live up to that standard, and it puts pressure on you. Either you're successful at that or you're not. And from that, you gain the experience of this guy. I can trust him with my life. You can trust him with my life, but you can't trust him with my money or my wife. My second deployment was to Guam. So wasn't as eventful, but it was doing FID, what we call internal foreign defense. And that's going over. I worked with the Thais, the Malaysians, the Japanese, Koreans. So it's working with those guys and just kind of cross-training. I had already pre-screened to go to SEAL Team 6. The training we go through for SEAL Team 6 is very, very similar to what all the SEAL teams go through, except it's at a different level because it's a hostage rescue mission. When I went to SEAL Team 6, you become what we call an assaulter or a door kicker. And you have to be a jack of all trades, breacher, sniper, assaulter, diver, everything that you need to have to work at that level. But while I was at SEAL Team 6, I was an assaulter for most of the period. And then after about 3 or 4 years, I got selected to go to snipers. My first deployment with SEAL Team 6 was going over to Bosnia and hunting down what we call the PIFWICs. They are the war criminals that we would capture and then bring to The Hague so that they can be held accountable for what they did over there. I went over there twice on multiple deployments and working to capture those guys. And there was a couple of successful ops. I wasn't a part of either one of those, but the boys did very well in capturing those guys, bringing them to justice. So I became a training officer after doing 14 years enlisted, and that was mostly at SEAL Team 6. And then I put in for what's called a limited duty officer, LDO, and I got picked up for that in 2000. And I went over to trade at Little Creek, which trains all the regular SEAL teams that are out there. It's training the cycle that the SEAL teams are on there. So they're on a 6 months of training, 6 months of kind of a next level of training, a more advanced level, and then they deploy for 6 months, and then they come back and start the whole cycle again. So my job was to make sure that they got their CQC, their close quarters combat, they got their land warfare, they got their vehicle driving, they got their jumping, all the things that they need to deploy. And then when I went back to SEAL Team 6, I'm in charge of selection, training, and assessment. So we screen the SEALs that want to become SEAL Team 6 operators. And then we select those guys that we think are going to be successful. So we might have 150 people that want to come in 1 year. And then we'll bring probably about 60 of those, and they're officer and enlisted. We'll whittle that down over the 6-month training period by different assessments, looking at the attributes that make these guys the guys that we're looking for. I retired in 2020 in June after 34 years of service. The reason I retired, it's that time. You know as a SEAL when it's that time. Could I still run and gun with the boys? Mentally, I think so. Physically, probably not so much. And So I think it was an easy decision for me, but and I'm happy that I made that decision. The main draw for me to come down here, there wasn't really any hesitation at all. It was like, this is a continuation of a career that I've enjoyed, has been very successful. I always called it the poor man's adventure club. You don't get paid a lot, but you get to do a lot of cool stuff and travel and shoot and blow stuff up. And it's a lot of fun. So this is a continuation of that. And I think it's an honor for me to continue to honor the legacy of our predecessors that have come before us. So making the transition down here to the National Navy SEAL Museum as the executive director, I think I'm bringing a lot of experience in the military, running really a business, right? The training or the squadrons they're a business. They have budgets, they have, you know, internal human resource issues. They have all the things that come with running a business. But I look forward to taking it to the next level also. And we're in the process of doing that now. We want to do some expansions, increase our fundraising. And we have some great patriots out there that support us and are always involved, and we thank them for everything that they're doing. We see a lot of people that aren't attached to the military at all, and they come through here. They're just patriots. They just want to know what a Navy SEAL is. They want to see and touch and kind of understand better what a Navy SEAL is. So that is extremely important to me. It's so uplifting to talk to some people as I go through this museum on a daily basis and hear their story, why they're here, where they're from, and how important this is to them to kind of touch and feel and see what it's all about. And we have some great artifacts here that aren't anywhere else. Alabama Maersk lifeboat. We've got the 60 that was in Mogadishu that probably carried me and other members many, many times. It's pretty unique. I think it drives coming to work every day because I don't feel, for me, it's not work. It's a family. It's a continuation of the job that I loved. To me, what defines a Navy SEAL is, obviously, you've got the Navy core values: honor, courage, and commitment. Another big part of that is humility. It's always been that way since I came in, and until recently, we've always been in the shadows. It's the way we liked it. We didn't want to talk about ourselves. We didn't want to, boast about what we've done or who we are, and just kind of blend in with society. That's one of the hardest things that I've had to deal with coming here at the museum. Is I've been told all my career, don't talk about what you do, where you're going, everything. And then now I sit here and I get an interview and I'm a Navy SEAL and my name is Grant Mann.